Bloomington residents may have to go back to the old ways of getting rid of bulk waste after city officials say some have abused the current method of dropping off the garbage free of charge. Since 2018, people have been encouraged to haul their bulk waste at no cost to the Citizen Convenience Center. But city staffers say that the convenience center has, quote, consistently been exploited, mostly by landlords and contractors. Now, they have regularly brought multiple loads of bulk waste each week free of charge. And tonight, City Council will consider an ordinance that would do away with bulk waste drop-off at the convenience center, and the city will go back to the old system of curbside pickup every other week, except during leaf pickup in late fall. The first bucket would be free, and the city would charge $30 for each additional bucket.